One evening I was taken to an akhara. Akhara is some kind of a club. And this was a Naga Baba akhara, which means there are these naked Babas there, and it's very difficult to even enter because they practice so many different things. And they took me to the first floor of that akhara. And I found the sun was setting over this beautiful old man. And when I saw him from far, I got attracted on his orange shawl. For no reason, I had tears rolling down my eyes. And so I just went and bowed down and touched his feet. And he blessed me. And instantly I knew that he is a very special soul.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. The art exhibition Kumbh Mela. BBC described this once every 12 years event as the greatest show on earth. This gathering of the devoted traces its origins to the Rig Veda. Over the 55 days at the confluence of the Yamuna and Ganges, an estimated 100 million pilgrims congregate and enter the waters for spiritual cleansing. Lalit Verma, a photographer and also the director of the Auradan Gallery in Puducherry, India, was at the last gathering in 2013. And he's back in Malaysia to have a photography exhibition on this event titled Kumbh Mela. Welcome to the show, Lalit. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You started this gallery a very long time ago.
Yes.
And you had very discouraging comments when you first started it. You wanted to, elevate the level of art consciousness in Puducherry. What was that journey like for you?
For me, Auradan is a contribution to the society for raising the art consciousness. I was a corporate man, worked for Tatas for several years. Mm-hmm. I called it Auradan because it means, Auro means dawn and Dhan means wealth. So it's dawning of spiritual riches, not only for us, but also for everybody. In the beginning, I had a lot of difficulties, obviously, because there was not so much support by people to come and see things. But as we grew the journey, we found that more and more people have started showing interest in art and culture. And I use that as a medium to unify and to promote harmony.
And in a decade, Auradan had become arguably the best art gallery in town. So coming back to Kumbh Mela, which is being exhibited at the Sutra House in Romli Ibrahim Sutra House. What is this event all about?
Kumbh Mela, as you described earlier, is one of the largest human gatherings in the world. And probably the last one was the largest in the history of mankind. I was attracted to go there for various reasons, and one of them was definitely for a spiritual quest. The intention was to find out if I could also satisfy my needs to photograph, but also to find an abstract reality, and that is to find a realized soul. I mean, it's so difficult to first judge who is a realized soul. Mm-hmm. But also to go and look in these millions of people, a realized soul was quite an exercise.
I'm sure it was.
So my journey was like trying to photograph these amazing people. Each one of them is a very, very interesting and has a strong decision that they've taken for their lives to follow a path of spirituality. And my interest was to look for a realized soul.
Did you find it?
Honestly, I was almost to my end when I thought that, my God, maybe I'm too tired to judge or to find out. But then one evening I was taken to an akhara. Akhara is some kind of a club. And this was a Naga Baba akhara, which means there are these naked Babas there, and it's very difficult to even enter because they practice so many different things. And they took me to the first floor of that akhara. And I found the sun was setting over this beautiful old man. And when I saw him from far, I got attracted on his orange shawl. For no reason, I had tears rolling down my eyes. And so I just went and bowed down and touched his feet. And he blessed me. And instantly I knew that he is a very special soul. And I would safely say that probably he was definitely a realized.
The Ganges is very sacred to Hindus. She almost has a soul of her own to Indians in India. What is the whole ritual of bathing in the Ganges? What does it really mean?
Symbolically, it means you cleanse yourself of all the past load of sins, and you are in a state where you are reawakening yourself spiritually.
And when you went there with your, camera, were you able to capture all of that on lens?
I was not trying to capture anything specific, I was just wanting to be with the Babas and just experience that process of positivity, this tremendous need to have a cleaning up of and have a new life. Everybody is reborn. You are maybe reborn many times. Each time you decide you want to change, let's say you are a non-vegetarian and from a non-vegetarian you become a vegetarian. You're reborn. Similarly, in the spiritual path, people are reborn many times. So for many, taking a bath is like cleaning away their sins and being reborn. Mm-hmm. It's known as Dyuman in Sanskrit.
How did you capture the noise? I mean, millions of people were around there, Lalit. I mean, how did you do that in photography?
When you see my pictures, you will see these thousands of people just running with their they generally hold a trishul or some sword or some weapon, and they run inside. Just the momentum and jumping into the water itself, you can visualize when you look at them that there is that amazing sound that comes. But more than the sound, the interesting part is the silence that they come with.
And is everyone in an elevated state of consciousness, would you say?
It's so difficult to judge that. Mm-hmm. But definitely everybody's faces are filled up with hope, because remember, the Kumbh Mela represents many things. It's not just one thing. And the three things that I would say is, one is the Kumbh Mela represents the coming together of humanity. A lot of people come together there. Second thing is, it reawakens you spiritually.
How did you decide what you were going to photograph? Well, and the Ganges is a very, very long river. Which part of the Ganges did you actually go to?
The Kumbh Mela happens in specific areas. There are 4 zones, 4 cities where the Ganga passes through. And these are the Kumbh Mela that happened in 2013 was confluence of Yamuna, Saraswati and the Ganga. And that is the spot which becomes, on that particular day, that is the 14th of January, the holiest spot, the holiest of times. And that's where everybody wants to go and take a bath on that particular day. Mm-hmm. It's known as the Shahi Snan, the royal bath.
Okay. And
so I chose that point to take photographs.
How many photographs did you take in the end?
I think I would have taken something like 3,500 pictures.
I am not surprised at all. And how many are being exhibited at
Sutra
26. House? Just 26. Making that decision to pick out the 26.
It took more time for me to decide which pictures I would show than to take the pictures.
What prompted you to choose this subject of all subjects? I mean, India is rich as far as culture and tradition is concerned. Why this particular one?
I'm naturally attracted to festivals, ceremonies, because that's where there are large gatherings, and a lot of wisdom also comes with large gatherings. And a lot of mediocrity too. But I try to sieve out the wisdom from the mediocrity. Okay. And this was the chance.
Right.
This was my chance to go to a Kumbh Mela where on that particular day 30 million people came to take bath over a span of 3 kilometers. And for me to search, I was with 2 other friends whom I took with me. One was the ambassador of Germany, the other one was the director of the French Institute. Mm-hmm. And the director of the French Institute made a fantastic comment. He said, all my life I have been a researcher, and after having traveled with you, now I am no more a researcher, I am a seeker.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. There was a story that you want to share with me about a realized soul. You want to go through it with me?
Just a few minutes before I was telling you about the person I met, and I felt that he's definitely a realized soul. I went and I touched his feet. He blessed me, and he had a box of dry fruits, and he poured it onto my hands, and it actually overflowed from my hands. A little bit of it fell on the floor, as if he was filling me with joy. And then he asked me, so how far with your spiritual journey? Where have you reached? He asked me. I said, where are we supposed to reach? And he told me, well, you have to reach back at the source, mm-hmm. like the Ganga. And then, in a nutshell, he recounted the story of the Kumbh Mela, how the river flows from the Himalayas, goes through life, hits into different stones and quarries and forests, and then goes and mixes with the ocean. And then again it evaporates and goes back to the source. And at that point, I was so emotionally charged that I asked him, Baba, have you seen, like a child, have you seen God? And his answer was fantastic. He said, of course I have seen God. You are in front of me.
Interesting. So there is a destination then. There is indeed a destination. What do you want these photos to tell the audience or the viewer?
The photographs represent not only capturing of a very rare event, because it is very hard to be even present in that event, and with a camera, I want to share with the viewers what it represents. It represents how people without a single invitation gather together every 12 years in huge numbers and just become one. And you will find people from all faiths there. People term it as a Hindu or a particular kind of a festival, but actually you find people from all faiths.
And I've had a look at some of them. They're very deep, I have to say. How did you decide on the 26 that are being exhibited?
I wanted to cover definitely the jumping inside the water, because that's when you actually take a royal bath. I wanted to cover also some pictures which were in the ground and celebrations. I wanted to also capture the preparations for coming. It was like preparing to come for the bath, and then the various ways they come, singing and in like a caravan, and then getting inside the water. And then, of course, there are a few shots which are very solitary, which represent quietness. You're just by yourself with the divine.
Do you have to have a prior knowledge of what Kumbh Mela really is to appreciate the photographs?
Visually, they are delightful, and they are intriguing, and they are very energetic. You must remember that the pictures that I've taken are mostly of the Naga Babas. They were the preserver of world culture. But their focus being only on preserving the wisdom of the worlds, they interestingly renounced all worldly possession. So that is why they are with no worldly possessions at all.
Do you think that there's a danger that these pictures will reinforce stereotypes and confirm pre-existing notions of Indian and Indian spirituality in a way?
I have to tell you, and that is what even Ramli Ibrahim is breaking. There are preconceptions created by selfish interests about what is what, and what is this and what is that, and what is Hindu, what is Muslim, what is Jain, what is Christian. The word Hindu was coined by the colonial rulers, who actually what Hindus were people who were living on the other side of the Indus and who had a lot of knowledge of preserving world cultures. But the colonial interest termed them as people who follow certain rites and are a religious group of people. Whereas actually the Hindus were people who accept so many different forms of gods. They don't have one, they have hundreds. A religion is followed by one one person who sets down the way you should follow life. But in Hinduism, there are so many. So it is not just, it's a religion, it is a little bit beyond religion.
There's a lot of talk about the difference between religion and spirituality today. What is religion and spirituality to you?
You see, for a set level of consciousness amongst people, in times there is a very great representative of the divine who comes. That representative of the divine, people sometimes interpret it in their own ways, what he's trying to teach them. A religion for me is when you follow one divine instrument and you follow it blindly, and you go on following it even when the times are not the same. Spirituality for me is when you keep taking all the wisdom from what they have given you and you make a religion for your own self. Each person, when he has his own religion, a combination of various truths and wisdom, becomes spirituality for me.
In Kumbh Mela, when you took these photographs, they were all in color. And I understand for this particular exhibition, it's being presented in monochrome. Is there a reason for that?
I thought that the monochrome idea would give it a timeless feeling, because nothing in a sense has changed for over thousands of years as far as the Kumbh Mela is concerned. These people who come down, if you see their pictures which were taken 100 years back and the pictures that I've taken today, it's more or less the same thing.
The impact on monochrome, how would you describe that?
The Kumbh Mela, the Babas mostly are smeared with ash. Mm-hmm. And for this occasion, they put beautiful golden flowers all around them like a crown. They have red eyes and they're very energetic with their locks flowing, and they have a trishul. The color has a different impact, completely different impact. It gives more celebration. The monochromatic thing allows you to imagine what is there. It gives a little bit of an abstract feeling, and at the same time, you can focus more on the spiritual aspect than just the celebration aspect.
It's being presented at Sutra House, and what we noted is that the photographs are framed without non-reflective glass, and as a result, you see the image, and at the same time, you see your reflection. And when you view it, isn't that a distraction in a way?
When you put a non-reflective glass, it makes it even duller. The reflecting glass, of course, for many it's a disadvantage, but it gives a lot of fluidity to the picture. It makes it more romantic. And a little bit of reflection doesn't disturb me, because at the end of the day, we are all reflections of each other.
I suppose. Lalit Verma, photographer and director of the Oradhan Gallery in Puducherry, India, on his photography exhibition titled Kumbh Mela.